Hi everyone! In this video, I will describe how we can easily implement the pause and resume functionality in the Godot engine. Since something like this involves certain pitfalls, I will show how to avoid them and do the whole thing correctly. If you've been following my 17-part tutorial on creating a space shooter or have read my book on game development in Godot 4, you've probably come across this topic already. However, I understand that not everyone has the patience to watch the entire tutorial to the end, so it will be useful to mention the pausing of the game in Godot once again, with some improvements over the original version. Besides, I've noticed that people often inquire on discussion forums about how to properly pause a game in Godot, so at least there will be something to refer to. So, how to implement it? We are fortunate because Godot makes it quite easy for us by essentially just adding this line. Get tree paused is true. Yeah, that's it. However, as you probably suspect, in practice it will be somewhat more complicated. Let's dive into the implementation step by step. I will delete this line and make it ready. For demonstration, I will use the third-person controller project, which you may be familiar with from previous videos. So, it's already opened here in Godot, and just as a reminder, I will show it in action very briefly. Okay, third person, some effects like the snow and dynamic shield and the solo operator. Okay, so let's start with adding a script for the main scenes because we don't have one yet, and it seems like a suitable place for which we'll control the game pausing. I'll add script and main GD, this is correct, create. Okay, now when we pause the game, we want something to be displayed so the player knows the current state of the game. We'll do this with a simple label in the center of the screen. Let's add a new canvas layer, add child node, canvas layer, here it is. Let's switch to 2D to observe the changes. And within it, we will add a new label and rename it to pause label. And I will add a simple text, game paused. And as I said, we want it in the center, so let's get to the layout and anchors preset, it would be center. Okay, maybe the font is not the best, but doesn't matter, it's just for the demonstration. Okay, now let's open the script and drag this new pause label into it while holding control, so we'll create this whole declaration. Before we start writing the rest of the code, we need to map a key to the pause function. Let's open project settings in project, go to input map and create a new action. Here, pause game, sorry, pause game, okay, add and click plus and press P. Let's map it to this key, P for pause. Okay, now we will add the following code. So first, we don't want to display this label while the game is not paused. So at the start, we will set the pause label visible to false. Okay. Now the process function. Basically, if the game is paused, the process is stopped. It is not being processed at all, which means that when the game is resumed, we want to check if the pause label is visible, and if it is, we want to hide it. Let's do it right here. If pause label visible, then pause label visible is false. Very well. Now we want to capture the pause key press. We'll do it in the input function. Func input and event. Now if input is action just pressed, and we will use our defined pause game action, in that case let's pause the game. Okay, this function is not defined yet. Let's do it here. Okay, func pause game. And now what we want to column. What do we want to do? First we want to display this label, pause label visible is true this time, and now we will call what we already shown at the start, get tree paused is true. Okay, now when we run the game and press P, let's see what happens. Game is working. Now I press P. Okay, the label is displayed, but we are stuck. There is no way how to get out of this infinite loop. Basically, this part is fine, but everything else is wrong. We have two issues. Firstly, as I said, the game is completely stuck because there is no way to unpause. And secondly, as we can see, the global pause doesn't work on shaders. The shield is still being animated. Let's start addressing the first problem. So I need to kill the process totally because there is no other way to get out of that. And let's work on implementation of unpausing the game. The implementation is easy. We simply set getTreePaused to false. The problem is that we cannot do it in the same script because in pause mode the script stops receiving events. Therefore, it's necessary to separate the resume function into a separate script. Let me create a new child node here. It will be of the top type node, and I will rename it to pause node. Okay, and add a script called pause node gd. Very well. And into this script I will add the following function. Func input event. So again, if input is action just pressed pause game, because we will use the same key for pause and resume. Let's check if we are still paused. getTreePaused is true. In that case, let's cancel it. getTreePaused is false. However, this is not enough. There is still an issue that the global pause stops processing in all nodes, including this one. Fortunately, we have the option to change the behavior of a specific node. In the inspector, let's find process and mode, and we will change the value from inherit to when paused. Very well. This ensures that this node, and consequently the script pause node gd, will only receive events when the rest of the node tree is paused. Let's try running the game now. Okay, working, pressing P. Okay, and it seems like it's still not working. Yes, the issue is that we are using the same input event for both pause and resume. So when I press P for resume, the main script is triggered, detecting the P key press. Wait a minute. I'll get out of there, kill it, and show it in the code. So we press the P key, this code would be processed, and this line would restart the process function in the main GD, and of course the input function as well. So it receives the same event, and pauses the game again. There are several ways to solve this. For example, we could wait for the next frame where input get is action just pressed would return false, or we could set a different key for resume. However, I quite like this approach. After capturing the P key for resume, we'll tell Godot not to propagate this event any further. Let's modify the code. So the only thing we have to add is this line: get viewport set input as handled. This is the trick. Let's try it again. Okay, P for pause and P again. It works. Paused, resumed. Perfect. Now, what about that animated shield? It's still not working on that. Let's take a look at the source code, or in this case, the graph, because we created the shield as a visual shader. So I'll switch to the shield scene and mesh instance 3D to find the shader. It should be here under material. Click, and the shader is here. Okay, let's expand that and find the start. Okay, we can see that the animation is controlled by time, internal variable, which is not affected by the global pause in GDScript. We will address this by introducing our own global variable called global time. It is done here in, again, project settings and shader globals. And let me add global time of the type float. Where's float? Here. Add. Great. Close. And now let's get back to the GDScript and main GD. Here it is. Let's add the following var global time starts at 0.0 as it's a float value, and in the process we need to increment this variable. Global time is increased by delta. Okay, this is the first thing, and now we need to send it to shaders, to all shaders that will be using this global shader parameter. Rendering server, global shader parameter set, and the name is global time, and the value is global time. Cool. That's the GDScript part. And now, of course, we need to modify the graph of the visual shader. Let's switch back and take a look at that. So instead of this input, we will use another float parameter. Right click, float parameter. Okay, the name should be global time. And now it's important to change the qualifier to global, so it will generate correct shader code to use the global variable we defined there. And all we need to do now is just to connect this line into that. It automatically disconnected the time, and let's try to run the game again. Okay, and pause. Yeah, the shield animation is stopped, and resume, it animates again. Great. If we wanted to modify a regular non-visual shader in the same way, we would add this line to its code. In fact, we can take a look at the visual shader and click here to see the generated code, and we can see this line, global uniform float global time. This is equivalent to this node and does exactly the same thing. Okay, the only drawback of this solution is that the particular shader is no longer animated in the 3D editor or here in the inspector, because the global uniform is not updated outside the game scope. but it should be pretty simple to temporarily replace global time by time if you need to tweak the shader code. Here is one more trick I could show you. If our game is running in a window, it could happen that a player accidentally clicks outside the window, causing the game to lose focus. In such a case, it might be useful to automatically pause the game. We can capture such an event using the following code. Func notification what and if what equals main loop notification application focus out, losing the focus, then let's call our pause game function. Let's try it out. Start the game, and it's working, and in fact my game captures the mouse cursor, so instead of clicking outside I will just press Alt Tab to lose the focus, and now when I get back to the game we can see it's automatically paused. Great. Let's get out of it. And that's all for this topic. I hope you found the information useful and you can apply it in your own project. Have a great day and see you in the next video.